Good morning, Paleo Keepers. Today we're on Prehistoric Kingdom and we're going to be making the enclosure for the Plateosaurus. Now, my idea behind it, I'm going to keep it nice, simple, kind of keep the walls and buildings quite similar as well, so they are somewhat themed and keep that sort of style throughout the whole of the build. And what you can see right now, I'm building a viewing gallery for the enclosure. And as well, the plan is to incorporate a gate in there for keepers to go into. I'll be adding it to the workshop at the end of it. So if you do want to add it to your parks, you can do maybe the sandbox mode or also a challenge mode, because it'll be able to have the keepers walk in and out. And the advantage is there will be no like fence that they can break, which is kind of cool, makes things a little bit easier for yourselves. And I feel like when I finished this, I was pretty happy with the way it looked. It was quite smart looking. The Plateosaurus looked really nice in it. And yeah, my idea is to have this viewing gallery the center of the enclosure, and then we have like a square, basically rectangle sort of shaped enclosure. It's nice, easy. It makes it easier to slot in, especially if you like making grid parks and things like that. And then just in the probably left-hand corner as well, is the housing for it. And yeah, I was really happy building this. I keep forgetting to turn it so it just stays sunshine. Like I'm on sandbox mode, and I could have kept it so it is just sunshine. And I just, well, yeah, I kept forgetting to turn it off. I've done it now, so it's forever sunshine when I'm building, so I'm not building in the rain. And I was sort of like trying to like play around with what I like the look of. I do like the look of the Stone Age wood walls, especially when you have the short one. It has this like mix match effect on the top. So basically, that was kind of going for that. I really like that look. It's sort of like wood fence building. I feel like the Plateosaurus would look quite nice in there. And then I just added like these painted white planks, because I just felt like it needs a bit more probably support and look to it. And yeah, I really enjoyed the look. It's quite nice. It stands out. It makes it look like it's got layers, so it's not just as simple as just placing down the wood walls and the standard walls. It's got a bit of decoration to it, has a bit of character. And then I had to pull back the logs a bit as well, so they're sort of like centered, so they stick out on both sides, so it's not just one side, and it kind of completes that look. And when you watch the Plateosaurus a little bit later, walk around it, it is a pretty, it's just a nice sight. It makes for some good screenshots as well. Adds a bit of character to this build rather than it just being a simple like square, rectangle even. And essentially, it is just a rectangle, but it has a bit more character. It has a little bit more liveliness to it. It's not just a simple square rectangle wall. I don't know why I keep saying square. Square is on the mind right now. But yeah, I was very happy with this. My idea was to put like a river around it and sort of do like a kind of desert grassland. If I remember rightly from watching Walking with Dinosaurs, the Triassic episode, right at the end you see Plateosaurus, and it is this sort of like deserty looking kind of area. Obviously, it has dry and wet seasons, and when the wet seasons come on, that's when the Plateosaurus came over, and it did have this sort of like desert kind of like grassland look to it. So that's the kind of vibe I was going for. Now, the staff entrance to this enclosure is going to be inside the housing, and I wanted it to be pretty tall, but not like a square building. I really like the idea of having like a roof all the way down. There used to be this, I think it was like the old BT building near me, and it had one of these style roofs that went all the way down to the ground, and then it had bars at the bottom. I mean, they were really kind of like pathetic. You could have easily just stepped over these bars, but those bars were to stop you from like walking onto the roof for probably what is a good reason. So I also end up adding that little feature to this, and even making them just really small. Like you can climb over them, but at the end of the day, you're climbing over them at your own risk. In a sense, I did add the glass to the roof as well to let in some natural sunlight into the housing unit, and it makes for basically good photography when you want to get those screenshots. And yeah, it looks quite nice. Like it just adds a little bit more character, storytelling to the building when you add simple things like just having bars, because it stops guests and any staff from walking onto the roof when they're not authorized. And I went in there and started adding the support beams so it didn't look like it was just an empty building with no supports. Again, it's storytelling, it sort of adds a bit of life to your build. Whereas if you just leave like a building without any structure or support beams, like it doesn't matter if you're not going into the building, but if you're going into the building, it kind of looks a bit, I don't know, naked, probably be the word to put there. It doesn't seem right without any sort of support structure going on. And even now when I was looking at it, I feel like I could have added a little bit more support structure than I already did. Like when I put these bars straight down, I could have added a triangle on the other side, which would have been pretty realistic and also adds that sort of support look. And maybe something I might even go back to and go and do a little bit later on. Now, for this part, I wanted a barn door, like the classic red and white, like barn doors you see in those sort of classic photos of barns. And so, yeah, that's what I tried recreating here. And I feel like I did a pretty decent job at it. And I quite enjoyed the overall look. It kind of fit in as well with the, like, even though it was like a massively difference in like color change, I feel like it still fit in with this kind of build. Like it's like a sauropod barn in a sense, which as well. Oh yeah, I made these little handles as well. Like I made them quite big. Like they are way bigger than the member staff, but it fits in with the rest of the door and that kind of like style. Like oh, this is how they get them in and out of that enclosure. I sort of messed around the roof, and then in the end, I went for doing these like triangles like this. Now, when I first looked at it, I thought it's a bit weird, and I wasn't going to do it. But then I remembered there is a building not far from me, and its roof is like this. It just has tons of these like little triangle raises. I don't know what the actual building term or name for it is, but they actually have a roof like that. So I was like, you know what? No, I'll stick with it. It looks kind of cool. Adds a bit of quirkiness to the building and like again character. And this is the enclosure completely built. I just use a brush for the grassland trees and all the rest of it down. Added a few termite hills because they do like eating the termites, these Plateosaurus, which is nice to just watch them do that kind of thing. And I was really happy with this. I feel like the vibe, the setting, it fits in really well. And these Plateosaurus, they did a really good job on these. Like the way when it sort of walks, you see it's like skin and what is probably fatty masses and muscles move with it. Like they did a really great job with the animation on these and the sounds of them, the way they walk and interact with their environment, and sort of like the termites when they go lying down, when they go to water, they sort of like I don't know why they dig in the water when they go and get a drink. I don't know as to like mix up the sediment and maybe get a few insects that could be like lurking in the mud of the water at the same time as getting a drink. I don't know, I'm just sort of adding my own storytelling to that situation to kind of confuse me why they were clawing at the water. But yeah, also inside the barn, you've got the bedding. At the corner, they actually do have their own water source, so they can either drink from the pond that's in their enclosure or go into the house. And like, I love that, like the way it's just digging in the bedding there and sort of like moving the bedding around, like it's getting itself ready to be comfy and relaxed and making sure the bedding's all right. Like they were great to just like stick around and watch them do the thing. And I love the fact as well it made its bedding just sort of like, yeah, I've done that. I'm gonna walk off now. I didn't really want to lie down. Yeah, like look at them. I could just sit here for a while and just watch these. Like I was really happy when they said they were adding Plateosaurus. I've always found them like interesting, and I feel like they're not very much like talked about. It's not like something you see in paleo media a lot. And if you're on my other social medias, you'll have seen that I put this screenshot out there. They're just chilling, getting out of the sun and resting in their little house. Like I was watching this for a while. Like even the lie down movements, is sort of like moving the head left and right, observing what's going on around them, and they're just beautiful in every way. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this and it's giving you a little bit of inspiration with your builds. Again, like I said, it's in the workshop if you want to add it to your zoos. And yeah, if you do, let me know. Get a screenshot of it, especially if you change anything. I'd like to see what kind of improvements you do to this enclosure. But as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.